Well, so the coolest thing about getting to go at this time is I can go long, but hopefully I won't. Hi, everybody. My name is Schaefer. When I was a kid, I loved magic. I still love magic, but when I was a kid, I loved magic for the effect, but I also like to see how it was done, right? And I loved how to create those ooh and ah moments for other people. I remember when I went to Disneyland as a kid, I was more interested in looking behind It's a Small World, how they moved the little people, than I was in the effect. I actually have video that my dad took of me, film that my dad took of me when I was in second grade, coming off of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and explaining to my mom all the cool things I saw. And when I saw the ghosts, I knew how they did that because I used to play with a flashlight in front of my face, in front of our sliding glass door in the back of our house at night, creating my own ghost. I did that before I ever saw it. So I always would kind of go through life seeing little things that were cool and filing them away for when I grew up and could do something about it. I learned there were Imagineers. I wanted to grow up and I wanted to become an Imagineer, you know, to create those same kind of fun experiences. I always grew up watching the behind the scenes on the documentaries of how they did this stuff in movies. I watched all those things. I loved watching to see how magic was done and then doing it with my family. I worked for a company for 25 years, and one of the things I got to do was one of the products I worked on from conception to delivery, I got to share with the Imagineers. The people at Disney asked for me to come out and pitch the product. They asked for me to show it to the CEO of Disney Resort. My life was complete. I could die now, right? But I still have a wife and kids. They still need insurance. So anyway, I was part of a workforce reduction last summer. After 25 years, my team, my boss, we were all part of that. So my boss said, you know, this is probably the nudge we needed to leave the nest. So I used that time to talk to Claude about, okay, what does a guy with 25 years of experience do? How can I take this and package it for the next generation? And so what you're going to see is actually some of the stuff that kind of came out of some of those conversations I had with Claude. Not that Claude wrote this, but Claude was great at being a sounding board for here's what I've done, here's an example of what I did. Hey, what does a guy like me, give me 3 workshops that I could do. So, but before we get into that, a word from our sponsors. So here we go. Thanks to all these folks that are giving us the space to do this, and then also the great lunch. That was pretty good. Okay, so in my time, I was trying to write on Post-it notes, you know, all the stories of my career, and then writing how do we, you know, interview customers, how do we bring customers on site, all those different things, all those pain points, but also how did we come up with those ideas for those solutions? And of course, most of these thoughts come to me, right? Oh wait, hold on, before I go, I need to give you the warning. Warning. Following presentation contains AI images. Some audiences may find the use of AI-generated imagery offensive and disturbing. My daughter did. She wouldn't look at this presentation. Dad, you're stealing artist jobs, and do you know how much water it took to make that picture? It is not intended to extract or derail the content of the intended presentation. The use of resources and concerns over replacing artists are thought-provoking and interesting topic that, like any new technology, will evolve over the years. However, again, that is not what this session is. So, viewer discretion is advised. All right, so the problem statement is, why do I get most of my good ideas when I'm in the shower? What is it about the shower that's where I have my aha moments? And like I said, can I do it without having to take as many showers? So being an engineer, engineering-esque, wanting to understand how things work, I reverse engineered it. Where do I get those ideas? When do I get those ideas? Why do I get those ideas? And so I was like, well, geez, I'm essentially reverse engineering shower thoughts, right? So why shower? Can I do it in other places? Can I make it intentional? Can I do it so it's not just a random aha, but I can actually schedule time for aha? Can I make it repeatable? Can I do it more often? And can I teach others? No, I can't, so the session is done. No, no, I can, and what I did was I called it the aha algorithm, okay? Figured this audience would appreciate the word algorithm, right? Honestly, it's the aha not anagram. Anyway, let me move on. So,
Palindrome?
no,
An acronym?
acronym. Thank you. This is an interactive session. All right. So the shower is not the only place where I have my aha moments. I tried to figure out where the other places I have them as well. When I go fishing, I tend to have a lot of those there. I'm actually wearing my fishing socks today. I have barbecue socks as well. I'm a dad. That's what they get, dad. I also have a lot of thoughts when I'm driving in my car. That's where a lot of those ahas have. That's what when I had a place to go regularly, on the way, I would load up for the day all the thoughts and all the things I wanted to work on that day. I took my son in the car ride and I was sharing this idea with him. Hey, Dad's working on this presentation, shower thought. And he's the one that said, oh yeah, Dad, they call those shower thoughts. And he said, you know what they need to do, Dad? They need to put a whole bunch of doctors in the shower and have them cure cancer. And I was like, that's a great. And so I went home and asked Copilot to draw me that image. And so that's what is hard to get Copilot or any image. It violates our code of conduct to show people in the shower. I'm like, no, make them clothed. So while we're on this, why did the engineer get stuck in the shower? Come on. Really? I'm giving you permission to ruin my joke. Come on.
Too many ideas?
No, because the instructions on the bottle said shampoo, lather, rinse, and repeat. And so that's why the engineer got stuck in the shower. All right. So here we got a bunch of engineers. This is, I think, a better image. They're not in the shower, they're out fishing, right? And they're all coming up with ideas of how to cure cancer. So I reflected back on some of the books I've read and some of the sources that are out there on creativity. John Cleese has a great book about creativity. You know John Cleese from Monty Python, from The Holy Grail, the Knights Who Say, Nee, the Silly Walk, the Minister of Silly Walks, is that right? So in his book, the story he tells that kicks it all off is that he was in college, he was in university, he wasn't even studying comedy, but he joined a troupe, and they would write skits. And he'd stay up late at night trying to come up with a punchline for that bit. And he just couldn't do it. Crumple paper, throw it down, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and he had the punchline to the joke. He'd been staying up all night. So there's something about walking away from it, taking time off from it. If you have a recipe to make bread, one of the steps says do nothing, right? Let it rise. If you don't let it rise, you come up with a different product. So in his book, he actually writes about another author, Guy Claxton, who wrote a book called Harebrained and Tortoise Mind. And the idea with it is the harebrained part of your brain is fast, it's anxious, it's goal-oriented, it's ready for execution, let's get up and go. It's got a list of tasks, let's go do them. But then there's the other side, that's the tortoise mind. The one that's slow, playful, exploratory. This is what's essential for creativity. Are you familiar with Tiago Forte? Anyone? Okay. So what he did is his book is basically about building a second brain, right? Our brain can't store everything. And it's actually, our brain is used for us to go out into the world, experience the world, collect the ideas, and then we need to bring them home and write them somewhere where we can retrieve them. So his book is mainly about archiving and being able to retrieve it, right? We write all those ideas down, but we're never able to, where did I put that? So his Build a Second Brain, like I said, there he is out in the world, capturing content, gathering ideas. And then here he is sitting down, writing up a podcast or coming up with, documenting all those great things he captured. He references the woman that wrote The Extended Mind, which is, again, about your body is supposed to go out into the world, bump into other things, experience other things. It's hard to read. Sorry about that. Let's see. This is her table of contents, okay? So these are the things you need to interact with. Thinking with our bodies, right? Thinking with our surroundings, and thinking with our relationships with people. So when she talks about thinking with our bodies, that's where you have to actually get up and move about. You can't really just be, I guess you could lay in bed and get some ideas, but getting up and moving around, and especially moving around in the world. She references in her book Richard Feynman. Anyone know Richard Feynman? Okay. Richard has a Nobel Prize in physics. He's also well known for taking very complex, difficult things and making very easy diagrams out of them. Actually, people still use his diagrams today to explain things. He's also known for the one that was able to explain the Challenger incident to Congress. He was the one that was able to show them an O-ring, which is supposed to, expand and seal. Once you put it in very cold, freezing water, it becomes brittle and it's not able to do its job. So that's who Richard is. Richard, he kept 12 problems in his head at all time. People are like, where do you come up with these brilliant ideas? How did you think of that? And he said, I'm always working on 12 problems at the same time. So as he goes out and experiences the world, he can hold up things. You go to Goodwill, you see something on the shelf there. Does this match one of the problems I'm working on? Just going out and bumping into the world, having random thoughts or ideas. He didn't work on those problems. He just kind of had them sitting back there. And he let the world bump into them. I love that. He let the world bump into his ideas, bump into him. All right. So all these people are talking about, all right, so we need to have some time. We need to go out in the world. We need to have some downtime. What's the science behind that? Because I've also got that, like I said, I've got that liberal arts side of my head, that creative side, but I've got that engineer side that needs to know why. So here's some neuroscience for you. I promise you this is the most complex slide in this deck. So, fMRI bold. I learned about this. fMRI are functional MRIs. They don't put them in the tube. They just are able to actually take it and look around a person's brain. And what they're able to do with this is bold stands for blood oxygen level dependent. They're actually seeing where is there more blood, oxygenated blood, going while they're asking them to do something. And what they found is, let's see here, and so it maps activity. What they found is many areas in the brain are involved with creativity, right? So if I was to show you this slide, it's like this. When I ask you, when you do a creative task or when your brain is actually not doing anything, all kinds of parts of it are lit up. There's networks that are just connecting all over in your brain. If I ask you to do a task, your brain lights up that one area and becomes focused on being focused. So, when you're doing nothing, your brain is like a small child getting into everything, right? It's able to make connections with all these different areas of your brain where if you focused on it, it wouldn't happen. So again, here's kind of seeing shower mode versus focus mode. If you look on the left side there, you can see certain parts of the brain are lit up more than on the other side when the person was asked to do a focus task and they were just focused on that one thing. All right. So, here, you can take this, take a picture of this. When you shower, walk, or do the dishes, your body is moving, your attention's relaxed, your mind starts connecting dots, your mind wanders, making different connections in your brain. You didn't try to think, the idea just emerged, right? You didn't get lucky, you just changed the conditions. And remember, that was one of the things I talked about earlier. What are the conditions I can do? What are the ingredients I can do so that I can duplicate this? So let's review, shall we? We got focused, where you're thinking hard about something, and then diffuse, shower mode, shower thoughts. In the focus, that's where you're taking action, you're capturing, you're writing things down, working hard. This is why ideas don't come to you at the computer. When you're sitting at the computer, that's the time to write the ideas down or work on them. In order to get the ideas, you got to get up. You got to go move around. And so here's some of you have to do something, not totally nothing. You need to do something. So like moving around. 1, 2, and 3, those are the things that in that book I mentioned. The body is moving. Spaces, you're moving in spaces. Nature, going to a store, getting coffee, socializing. So, and then I like down at the bottom right there, you're bumping into the world. So, I took all these pieces, and this is where we come up with the AHA algorithm. Okay? So, we have an action, and there's an amount of time to do it. So the first action is you analyze the problem, right? What's the problem I'm having? The reason I put an asterisk there is because I think there's 2 ways to handle, right, this, right? If you have a problem, you analyze it, you're going to work on it. Sometimes you don't need to analyze if you're like Richard, where you just have them running in the background at all times. The second one is the The H in AHA is You're going to pause. You're going to take time to do nothing, to let your brain marinate in its own juices. And then when you get the thoughts, start archiving them. And then once you've got them archived, go run back to your desk and start writing them down and applying them. So yeah, take a picture of that one.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did you come up with these time limits?
Science.
Is that like science?
No. This was just, no, there was no science with this. This was,
That's how long your shower is?
if I'm really on a good problem. So, all right, so let's talk about analyze. Analyze, when you're focusing on the problem, is you're going to write the problem down clearly, list maybe 2 to 3 problems, gather relevant information, and then stop. Okay? Then, after you do that, is when you get to do the right? This is where you get to do the shower mode. Like I said, for me, it's fishing, it's driving, taking a shower. Do something automatic and repetitive, so something with monotonous motion. No content input, right? Don't be looking at screens. Let your mind wander, let it play. Oh, here, let me go back, sorry. All right, so here's some of the conditions for it. It's got to be automatic and repetitive, with mild engagement, no conversation or interaction. Now, I know some of the other ones might be social, and so there is that, there's, with every rule, there's an exception. No content, so no podcasts, no scrolling, no reading, no screens. Now, I have an asterisk by no podcasts. The reason I put that asterisk is because if I'm doing Richard Feynman mode, which is I got 12 things running in the background and I'm out fishing, I'm going to be listening to a podcast of smart things, right? And those guys will help spur some ideas that I have. All right.
As opposed to what? As opposed to what?
Well, as opposed to not listening to anything. As opposed
What's a
to.
bad podcast?
Thank you.
Oh, no.
You put an asterisk by podcast.
I put an asterisk by podcast because if you listen to music or listen to something, it is going to specifically activate an area of your brain.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm not listening to a podcast, I mean, here's kind of a flip example. I can give this presentation in my head all week long, driving around in my car. As soon as I get up here and am physically in my body and my mouth is moving, all those brilliant things I said in the car are not there anymore because I'm engaging a different part of my body and my brain, right? So the more I do this, the better it'll get and start sounding like what's in my head. So here's some activities. Like I said, for me, it's showering, driving, fishing. Other people say it's exercising, running, walking. Another friend of mine said cleaning house, picking up things, washing dishes. Now, on one side, I think I was like, when she said that, I was like, wow, that can actually motivate me to do household chores. The second thing that made me think of is my wife. I don't think that would make her creative because it engages a whole different part of her brain, which is, why can't you people pick this up? Who left this on this plate for this long? Whose turn was it to feed the cats, right? So she's engaged. And then, like I said, I love to wander. My kids, that whole generation is into thrift stores now. And so I love wandering thrift stores or any stores where I'm not necessarily buying, but I'm just looking. Mark Rober, y'all know Mark Rober? The guy, the glitter bomb guy, NASA. That's one of the things he says to do. Go walk up and down the aisles of Home Depot to get ideas. All right. Here's another one to take a picture of. Wow, that's... I wanted to give y'all a lot, but I had no idea what the room was going to look like. Doodle. If you're at work, take a break, walk to the bathroom, right? Shower replay. Replay the shower. Tea ceremony. Again, getting up and going. Getting up. For me, it was getting up, going in the car, going to Starbucks, and coming back. Stare out the window. Walking meetings. I knew a woman, that's what she did. She did her one-on-ones, walking with her direct reports. They'd walk around the building. Optimize the commute. This is where I do play my podcast. I listen to Conan O'Brien because I find when he's not extremely silly, the interviews he does with people are very positive. And it puts me in a positive mode for the day as opposed to listening to news. You know, when I'm listening to their fun, to their laughter, they're talking about the creative process, it puts me in a good mode. Some mindless task. What are some other things? Here, share with each other. What are some other
Pulling
ideas?
weeds.
What?
Pulling weeds.
Pulling weeds, okay.
Yeah, I think on that podcast one, I definitely felt that there's intelligent, like long-form podcasts work for me. Short-form news don't work for me. Because long-form, an idea will pop in my head, and I'll actually pause the podcast because I'm like, wait a minute, let me just linger on this.
Okay.
So yeah.
What else? Come on, y'all help me. Yeah, help. This is the first time I've presented this, and so I'm also open to other.
Dancing.
What?
Dancing?
Dancing?
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's great because that would definitely get your body up moving.
Just being in a crowded public space without engaging anybody, but just being in that space for some reason, even though there's so much potential room for distraction, it stimulates me to think about things that I wouldn't otherwise think about.
Reminds me of something funny. There's actually a what is it? An MP3 that's just the coffee house noise that you can just play that, which I think is funny because if I go to Starbucks, they got some music playing. So, yeah.
I was gonna say I have a dog, so I would say like playing with my dog, or like if you have an animal, like engaging with an animal in some regard.
Yeah. There's so much work on how interacting with animals. Yeah.
Bike ride, something about being on two wheels and gliding, it just relaxes me.
Two wheels and on a bike. Okay.
Just gliding.
I was thinking like a garage chair, a lawnmower parachute.
So this may not fit this. What about learning something new, like a musical instrument or something like that? It's maybe a different category, but will that,
So-
engaging in something else that's not the problem?
Yeah, so we're going to get into, in the second slide, we're going to get into when you're stuck,
Okay.
right? If you're on a task and
Well,
you're
like
stuck.
Einstein played the piano.
I find if I'm stuck on a task, doing another task, right? It's like when you go smell cologne or perfume. My son's into cologne now. They have coffee beans there, right? For you to sniff, to cleanse your palate between sniffing things. And so if I can give my brain another task, I usually have it in my brain, go make ribs, go make barbecue ribs, you know? And that gives it something else to work on. Because again, our brains are really like small children that when they're on their own get into trouble. What time is this session over? I need to be, how am I doing? We go until,
I think the next thing is starts at 2:05.
but this is over now, isn't it?
You have another like 5
You got 5 minutes.
It's over at 1:55.
Okay, take a picture of this. These are things that can get into your head to tell you you're doing nothing, right? This is my excuse to my wife that it's okay if I go fishing, I'm actually working, right? This is the excuse you can use with your boss, right? No, I have to take the team fishing. We need a brainstorming session.
Do you need barriers getting into shower?
Oh,
Yes,
berries.
I do. Thank you. And then here are the times when to go, right? When you're stuck on something for 30 minutes, you can't decide between options. I need an analogy to explain this. I'm teaching a group of people about this, and I need a way to convey it to them, right? A lot of us deal with tech stuff, very, hard things, and we usually need analogies to be able to communicate it. And the thing at the bottom I like, when to throw in the towel, right? When the frustration and no progress, that's the time to throw in the towel, right? All right, here's some things I've noticed that don't work. Driving to nowhere, because that small kid in my brain is going, where are we going? Why are we doing this? Gas costs too much. We can't just be driving this long forever. What are you doing? I actually have to be driving somewhere so that my brain can be in automatic mode, going to work, going to the store. I mean, I took the wrong turn on the way here today because my brain was thinking we were going somewhere else. So, taking a bath or sitting in a spa doesn't elicit the same sort of ideas as taking a shower. Because when you're showering, you're slowly moving around. You're getting the blood moving. You're moving about. Laying down, your body's going down. It's signaling it's something different. And like I said, going somewhere without purpose. All right. And then here's the other one, right? I saw this one this week as I'm working on this. I saw this guy walking down the road, pulling his kid in a wagon, and he's looking at his phone, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's missing such a great day. And now, I'm not judging. I've done it. I understand, taking care of a young one and some of the monotony it brings, but that's interesting. All right, step 3, I got to run through these. All right, step 3, archive. So after you've had your you've generated some things, archive. This is Taylor Swift. You know how to get AI to draw you a picture of Taylor Swift?
Describe Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Describe Taylor Swift to me and then tell it, draw me an image of whatever description it gave you. That's how I did it. Record it immediately. She uses the Notes app. People know, she said in interviews, she does voice memos. She used the Notes app. Write it down. Don't polish it. Just capture it. It will evaporate within 60 seconds. And then the final one I suggest is be prepared. And the reason I say be prepared is where's a pencil? Where's the notepad? That quickly, it can be gone. I can't tell you the number of ideas I lost while I was trying to remember to ask Siri how to take a note.
Genius ideas too, but
Oh yeah, they were $1 million ideas. And then the final thing is action, right? After you've written these ideas down, now go to the desk, and that's when the work happens. All right, so let's review the algorithm. Analyze. You're going to archive, write it down, and then finally you're going to take action on it. So I'll give you an example. Shit, I got 1 minute to give you an example. 40 years in the making. When I was in second grade, I believe, no, I was in middle school, we learned about polarized lenses. Polarized lenses are what are in sunglasses. The big deal about polarized lenses is, especially when you're looking into water, it breaks down the glare. See? we're talking about fishing again. See, so sunglasses are great for when you go fishing. It breaks that glare so you can see in the water. It's great for when you're driving. It cuts the glare on the road, cuts the glare on the hood of your car, right? Interesting thing about polarized lenses is if you have a polarized lens and you put another one in front of it, because they're like slats, right? If you put another one in front of it, what does it look like? Nothing. It blocks all the light. So that's one of the reasons why, well, here we'll get to this in a second. All right, so in the 2000s, LCDs come out, right? And I remember they talked, I went to a presentation about LCDs, and one of the things they said is, oh, there's a polarizing filter in this. I wonder if I was to take one and put it in front of the other, if I could block it out. All right. This is also why the display in your car, when you wear sunglasses and tilt your head, it goes in and out. Or if you go into a store and they've got displays vertically, you're like, why'd they turn them off? Why are they so dim? If you take your glasses off, the content will reappear. All right. So I work for a video conference company. With AI coming in, we have, one of the things we're trying to do was we're trying to tell the cameras, hey, go find the people and then frame them. And AI, like is like a puppy. It'll do exactly what you tell it. And so it'll look at this picture and it'll see the guys on the monitor and it'll actually see the reflections also. And it will include those in its framing. And now you have to go, no. Now we got to figure out how to tell it not to include those. So I was in my car, again, it was Christmas. You can see because I actually have the date on the Amazon order of when I ordered 10 polarized pieces of film from Amazon for $8. 10 pieces of polarized film while I'm on my way to get some polarized film to try when I get back to work on our cameras to see if this will work. And so this is basically what I did. I took the little filter, I put it on my iPhone, and then if you move it to make the polarity just right, look what happens to the monitors.
Whoa.
Look at the reflections on the glass. Even the reflections disappear. So here's a great way to solve that problem. So then and then also here, let's see here. Then not only does it take away that, but it can also take away glare that's like on whiteboards, right? Take away glare that's on tables and things like that. So we productized it, and we actually made them to go onto our cameras. And if you watch, this is what they look like. Here, you'll see, there's the lens. And if I turn it the right way, the monitors go away and all the reflections go away too. Now I'll show you, you're hard to see, but you saw the cost of goods sold was $1, and all the vendors out there are selling them for over $100. Okay, I won't talk about go-to-market. That's a whole different story because this is about creativity. So here we go. Here is the AHA algorithm, right? Analyze, pause, archive, apply, and what's the last step? After you apply it?
Contact Stephen Schaefer.
Rinse and repeat. Go back and do the whole thing again. Thank you all very much. If you want to connect with me, that's my QR code for LinkedIn. And I guess, thanks. I got it in. Yeah.
I have like a product question. Do you actually, how do you ensure that it's aligned properly? Do you just basically do vertical alignment, or do you have multiple cameras that have the filter in different positions?
It's just manual. But so there are a couple answers to that product-wise. One, I don't know if you noticed, it was an oval shape. And so the particular camera we made it for had an oval camera because it actually had 2 cameras in it. And so that fit on there. One of the things we discussed was actually maybe putting a little notch on either side of the camera and tell the user to make sure it's horizontal. But again, if you just look at the image and rotate the lens, you can do it.
There's a user error that the user may not know that they actually have to rotate it. They just think that you just put it in and it just works. And then it doesn't work, so they just return and say the product doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's what the product manager said. But we figured people would be, hopefully they'd be smart enough, because usually it's a sales engineer that's helping with installations and things.
The engineer maxim, it's the, I forget the word. It's about competing against the world making better and better products against dumber and number of people or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, so I think the way that you can solve it is you can have multiple cameras. Like if you basically having like the entire solution, and then like each one of them they would have slightly different like polarized filter. So that way you can basically like look for the AI, which one has like the extra stuff
Yeah.
removed, and you
So-
can use the image. that
So
image.
when we did write a patent for it, we did say, if you had gears and motors on it to turn it,
Automatically.
to actually count the number of heads, and each degree you moved it, when you got no heads or the least amount of heads, because you might see the people in the room, that's where to leave it.
Yeah.
So the point was not to get rid of the glare on the window necessarily, but it was, we
Well, it
just
wasn't,
want.
well, because reflections of people. I mean, if people are in a conference room that has a glass wall, at night, that becomes a mirror.
Yeah.
And so if you're telling the camera to frame everybody, it's going to frame people walking by in the hallway. So that was one of the other things is, well, we could put polarized film on the wall.
So you didn't need a camera to pick up the people who were on video. You were just trying to get the people in the room to do the teleconference.
Yeah, so it's like,
Okay.
so for example, this room, I'm the instructor, I'm a presenter in this room, there's a camera back there.
Right.
That
If
could
that was
be.
the people on Zoom or whatever, you
Yeah.
don't need them. They want to focus on you.
Right, and so it would frame them. And sometimes that could also be distracting to the far side.
Yeah.
If they saw. And then some of the other things are, even if it's a PowerPoint presentation, because it's got the white background, the camera would iris, and then I would be
Yeah.
a silhouette.
Right.
Remember to vote for me for best presenter.
Hey, have you heard of, I want to say, Clausewitz, I think he was either a Polish or a Prussian general. That's what I want to say, but I just wrote down Clausewitz, 4 Steps to Awe. And I think it was, well, I don't even
No, I
have
don't
the
know.
date of when he did this, but look up Clausewitz. His 4 steps were examples from history, presence of mind, flash of insight, and resolution. Basically, you just collect information from, you experience everything, you explore
I'm writing this
everything.
down, I'm not ignoring.
Yeah. And
Thank
then,
you.
when you let your brain relax, at some point you're gonna have a flash of insight, and that's the resolution to that problem. So very similar. You had a few more steps that kind of outline the whole process. He doesn't talk about defining the problem. He just talks about living in the world and just collecting all the information, because you never know when, like walking through Home Depot or the thrift store, something's gonna go, okay, I totally know what the answer to my problem is. So.
Yeah, and so I also like Richard Feynman, which is,
I'd heard of him, but I couldn't place him.
I can also, I'll usually have a few projects I'm working on, And
Yeah.
again, I'm just looking, will this fit? Will this? And a great place to prototype is Habitat Restore.
Oh, okay.
Do you know Habitat
Yeah.
Restore?
Yeah.
So I can go in there and buy PVC pipes and just different things to practice with.
Yeah.
To cobble something together. Is this
Yeah.
something? Does this work? Before I go buy some really nice
Yeah.
stuff.
Cool.
So
Thanks. I sent you a
excellent.
LinkedIn request,
Awesome. Thank you.
and this was great.